Welcome to the Money and Flow podcast, where avocado toast and stocks meet. Did you know that women and women of color don't talk that much about money? And did you also know that the health and wellness community is a $600 billion business? And did you also know that women aren't in the forefront when it comes to decision making with our health and wealth? We're here to change that. This is the first podcast that focuses on wellness and money. This podcast is targeted for women and women of color, specifically in their 20s and 30s. And without further ado, your host, Eugenie George. Ooh, it really sounds all in it. Getting jiggy with it. Na, 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 na. That's what that song reminds me of. It reminds me of Will Smith. All right, getting jiggy with it. This is Eugenie George, your host of the Money and Flow podcast. Welcome. I am hyped up on my third glass of coffee, so I think we're going to have a great freaking episode today. Today we're going to talk about one of the chapters from my book, Not Your Average White Guy's Money book. It is my favorite chapter of the book because it breaks down so many money misconceptions. I title this chapter, Not the Math, okay? One of our biggest myths when it comes to mindset and money and activating our money is a lot of women and men say that they're not good at math. This is one of my arguments. We hate money because we are told that we're not good at math. We're not math people. All right. So, oh brother, here we go. How many times have you heard that math is not a girl thing? It is just simply, we just don't get it. Or sometimes you might hear that you are not a math person. Let me tell you, that is a microaggression that has turned macro. Now, I just took my Series 65 exam, and I was very angry to see on my book somebody told me that I would struggle with this math problem. You don't even know me, and you're telling me that I'm struggling, and this is in a Kaplan book. Y'all better get it together. That's a microaggression that can turn into macro. Fortunately, I already wrote this chapter, so we are already on a good rhythm. So what we're going to talk about right now is the idea of these macro and microaggressions. Out of all our conversations when it comes to people, we say that there are two types of people in the world. There is an unspoken bond of who belongs to the tribe and has great understanding of how American schooling is created. So we say poets are people that thrive off of wordplay. The poets often go into liberal arts backgrounds, and they love the idea of communication. The quants are the math and logical thinking. These folks yearn for statistical knowledge. They love to solve crossword puzzles, and they're often the folks on Jeopardy. Shout out to Rachel Faby, just won that. Holla. Anywho, and they most likely were in the National Spelling Bee, all right? So when you go down the street or when you talk to someone, they say like, I'm more of a rational thinker or I'm more of a creative. It's all crap because the truth is we both love rom-coms and we both like structure. We both like Marie Kondo, but then we also like Picasso. We're one in two-ness when it comes to that. Shout out to W.E. Du Bois because you can always use one in two-ness as a reference. All right. So this is a problem because every time we keep saying that people are more quants and more poets, it typically falls into a gender-related thing. So we say, oh, this woman, she is a poet. Or we look at someone who is a quant and we're like, oh, you know what? This guy, he really just understands math. He's a math guy. You get it? So it's very annoying when you hear like, oh, he's more of an artist, or oh, she is the girl with no emotions. Creating these categories help us make sense of what a person is like, but it also makes us believe that some people have the gift in math and some people don't. So the gift of math overall is a detrimental issue in the American culture. So to say that someone has a gift or is gifted, unless you have a special service where you can help someone who is gifted, and this is coming from someone that used to be a teacher, if somebody is gifted, that means that they need special education to make sure that they're consistently functioning in an inclusive classroom. So, but we've oftentimes been like, oh, this kid is gifted, this kid is in gate, all types of stuff. I know some of y'all are mad because I know a huge bunch of y'all are like, I was in gate, so was I. And I didn't think that I'm not a person that is like, what's the guy from A Beautiful Mind? Like, I don't need special help. I'm not gifted. Oh, that's weird to say, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that that's okay, and I don't think that that's fair. So we typically do this, and we typically say that females do not have the ability or they need more help when it comes to successful careers in math-related fields. We say that girls just don't have that gift. We know as a culture there is a lot of aspects that people have told us that is far from our consciousness. So our cultural narrative has always been that we're not good at something, even though we could be. So Rodolfo Mendoza Denton, he's a professor of psychology at the University of California, Berkeley, my alma mater. He researched how culturally we create these stereotypes, and how it hurts our culture. So he basically says that it is so pervasive in our cultural narrative that we don't even know how to break out of that. So, that is a problem because what we end up doing is conforming people. And that is what Carol Dweck talks about with fixed mindset and growth mindset. You say that someone's a math person and someone is a quant or a poet, you're putting someone in that box. This is the hardest thing for me to get over because I used to consider myself to be an ENTJ woman, but that is a fixed mindset. Not only is it a fixed mindset, but it's also a part of cultural conformity. We want people to all fit in a nice box when in reality we're so messy. This reminds me of Kanye West and how we really, really strongly believed in Kanye West's abilities to design shoes. Do y'all remember when Kanye or Yeezus started selling those hideous Adidas shoes? People were going crazy over them. Crazy. And let me tell you, Mr. West created a shoe that looked like a cross between if a croc had sex with Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. Those were the ugliest dad shoes I'd ever seen. And the crazy thing about it is the shoes weren't even that functional. All right? They weren't even like the functional New Balance hipster shoes that a lot of guys wear in IT. Maybe I shouldn't say IT, but I've seen a lot of them wear it. What the problem is with that was like everyone conformed and thought that that was a great shoe. And I'm not saying everyone, I mean a certain type of guy, a guy who believes in Kanye West and a guy who believes that his shoes are amazing. So that idea that limited release Kanye shoes are the best and I have to buy them and I have to spend 6 figures to own them is not only crazy, but it is a mindset and a belief. All right. So we're going to break down some of the problems with this public conformity, because the public conformity problem is that a person could believe that the idea isn't true, but still play it into the social conversation. Anytime we tweet, anytime we chat, anytime we post something on Facebook that says, can you believe how ridiculous these Kanye shoes are? Guess what? People start to internalize that. And that is how people end up hating math. It's not because you're not good at it. It is because someone has told you that you are not good at it. Now, does that mean that you need to practice? Yeah, everybody needs to practice to get good at math. But let me tell you something. If you know eighth grade math, if you pass the eighth grade, you know how to manage your money. So if we're talking about compound interest, if we're talking about investing, we're talking about stocks and bonds, yes. Will it be kind of tedious to sift through when you're reading it? Yeah, because you haven't read it in a long time. But the truth is that you are a math person and you can do the math. Now, I know it might feel like, well, personal finance is different from math. No, it's the same exact thing. It is quote unquote logical and rational. So you need to start seeing yourself as a math person, just like I need to see myself as a math person. Now, this wasn't always the case. I did not like math because for a long time I struggled with being an intelligent person. So when I was in second grade, a lot of stuff happened with me in second grade, and ironically, I ended up teaching it too. But when I was in second grade, I had this teacher that I was obsessed with, and her name was Miss Studeman. And clearly, that's not a real name. That's all for legality purposes. But Miss Studeman was a perfectionist, and we played classical music in the classroom, and everything about her was something that I admired. But, excuse me, this is a little emotional for me. But when I was a kid, she would oftentimes say not positive things. And there was one particular time that she pulled my ear and she pulled another girl's ear, and her name was Latricia. And she told us that if we don't get our acts together, we're never going to amount to much. And the kid that had great scores in math and loved it, this happened around math class, shut down and did not do math for a long time. Or not that I didn't do math, I just didn't believe that I was good at it. And that became a fixed mindset. And at the ripe, beautiful age of 7, I shut down big time. So much so that I got held back as I went to second grade twice. So a lot of people don't know about that about me, but it was a very emotional experience for me. And also, when some people think that, like, if you fail out of a class or if you don't do well, like, that's the end of your life. But the truth is because of that experience, I said I wasn't a math person at that time. Now, I've mentioned this in another podcast too. Trust me, I have had to clap back multiple times with math teachers. There was an accounting class that I had when I was in like my late 20s because I wanted to go to get my MBA. And I remember him telling me that I didn't know anything, but I had the confidence to be like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. And I kid you not, I have taken 2 accounting classes and I have gotten A's in them. So what I'm trying to tell y'all is not only have I gone through it and other people have gone through it, I just want you to know that you are capable of learning the math and you're capable of building the wealth. Okay? So we move from that. Now we're going to dive into the other cop-out crap that people always talk about too. Whew, this really bothers me. This burns my gears or grinds my gears. We always talk about how it is the educational system's fault. We always say, well, if they had personal finance in schools, we wouldn't have these problems. It's like, no. We would still have some of these mindsets with math because let me tell you about that. Being a teacher used to be deemed as a very safe career. So you used to work hard, get that pension, and retire early. I know it because my auntie Stella did that. She taught for 45 years and has a successful retirement. But nowadays, that's not the case anymore. So most Americans that have 503B plans, a lot of those are lightly regulated. And to make matters worse, the public school employees are not protected the same as their private sector counterparts. So that means if you have a 503B, because they're lightly regulated, people can sell you multiple 503Bs. And that is not having a balanced portfolio. A balanced portfolio is having a whole wide range of different investments. That's stocks and bonds, that's real estate, it's a whole bunch of stuff. But I'm not going to tell you specifically each one of those because that's what the book's about. But anywho, the teachers, we say that being a teacher, being a public school employee is where we should teach people with math. Well, I hate to break it to you, but guess how many the percentage of teachers are women? 80%. And don't most people say that women are not good at math? So how the hell can you tell me that we should have personal finance in schools when we don't even treat our teachers correctly? So y'all better quit playing with me. I'm a soldier boy. Y'all better quit playing with me saying that it needs to be taught in schools, because the truth is we need to change this whole mindset. We really do. We need to make every school a STEM school. We need to make every girl a STEM student. But we don't do that. So to say, I'm not a math person, and I've heard multiple teachers say that. I'm not good with math. I even heard my favorite actress say that the other day, and it broke my heart. But the truth is, you know what that is, y'all? That's that mindset. So for some of y'all, you're thinking, how can I say that I'm a math person? Well, guess what? It's actually not that difficult. For starters, you just say I'm a math person. Just say it every day. 2, just say I have access to building wealth. I have all the tools that I need. And 3, log on or find a personal finance budgeting class. Ask someone for help. Ask a financial planner for help. Ask someone to help you understand the numbers. Because at the end of the day, if you know the numbers, you're going to be more successful. So that's it with the Money and Flow podcast. Please make sure you subscribe. You tell your mama, you tell your friends, you send this over, you like it. I think we only have 12 reviews, and I know we have more listeners than 12 reviews because we've gotten over 1,000 downloads. So y'all, we better get it together, especially if you're listening to this. So that's it with the podcast. At the end of the day, you are a math person and you know that math. So let's hit the books.